What are the advantages of multi-stage compression? We are going to answer this question. This is the least of advantages I have put in. First is the reduction in the compression work per kg of refrigerant. So what does this mean? If we compress it in a single stage, let us say from 1 to 4 dash, the compressor work would be H4 dash minus H1. But if you compress it in two stages, that is from 1 to 2, and then there is intercooling, and then from 3 to 4, the compressor work reduces. That is the advantage of multistaging. And why does it reduce? It reduces because the slopes of these isentropic lines, they become flatter as you move away from the saturation curve. So that is the reason why the compression work it reduces with multi-staging. So this is an important advantage, and the most important advantage that per kg of refrigerant, because of multi-staging, the compression work reduces. Now, because the compression work reduces, for the given refrigerating effect, what would happen is the coefficient of performance would improve, because coefficient of performance is what? It is the refrigerating effect upon compressor work. And for a given refrigerating effect, if the compressor work reduces, the coefficient of performance improves. So this is the second advantage of multi-staging. The third advantage is about the dimensions of the cylinder. The cylinder of the compressor, if it is a single stage, then you need to make a sturdy compressor. But if you are doing it in two stages, then there is a low pressure compressor. This would be a low pressure compressor, and this would be a high pressure compressor. So the low pressure compressor need not be very sturdy. Its thickness, the thickness of the walls, they could be, size of the thickness could be reduced because the pressures itself are low. So this makes the compressor cheaper and lighter. So that is the advantage of multi-staging, that you can use one compressor, which is a low stage compressor of a lower thickness and lower cost. Another advantage is on the condenser side. What is the advantage? Because if you see in the single stage, the heat rejected would be H4 dash minus H5. Heat rejected would be H4 dash minus H5, and in multi-staging you see that it is H4 minus H5, which is less. So the heat reduction reduces. The heat removal during condensation reduces, and when the heat which is being rejected is reduced, the duty on the condenser is reduced, the size of the condenser is reduced. So this is an advantage, that your heat rejection is reduced because of multi-staging. Another advantage is on the efficiency side of the compressor. We are talking about the volumetric efficiency. The volumetric efficiency of the compressor is a function of pressure ratio. Pressure ratio means the ratio of condenser pressure to the evaporator pressure. And because in multi-staging the pressure ratio is reduced, the volumetric efficiency it increases. So this is an additional advantage, that the volumetric efficiency of the compressor is improved in multi-staging because the pressure ratio is reduced in each stage. The discharge temperature, you see the discharge temperature in single stage would be T4 dash, which is much higher as compared to T4 when you do multi-staging. So the discharge temperature is reduced, and when the discharge temperature reduces, the lubrication needs would also be reduced. The lubrication would be more effective. In the case of multi-staging, the compressor will also have a more life because the discharge temperature is reduced in multi-staging. So this is an advantage of multistaging. Because the pressure ratios are not much higher in multistaging, the leakages would also be less. So this is because of lower pressure ratios in multistaging that the leakages past the piston are reduced. So this is an important advantage of multistaging, that the leakages are reduced because of multistaging. And the compression work reduces, so the energy bill would be less and the operating cost would be reduced. And finally, because of lower pressure ratios, the torque would be less, it would be uniform, and hence the size of the flywheel, which is to be attached to the compressor, okay, that would also be reduced. So all these are the advantages, and the most important advantage I said is the reduction in the compression work. Okay, so we need to be in a position to state at least 6 or 7 advantages of multistaging when we are asked this question as to what are the advantages of multistaging compression.